Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we will be going over my Week 4 battle for the second season of the UPA D-League. This week we will be going up against Blitz, coach of the Toronto Tyranitars, and this is the battle of the six that doesn't usually happen in sports because even though it can easily support it, somehow Toronto just doesn't have two sports teams in any professional league. But regardless, yeah, last week we came off a pretty rough loss to Rice, so we are absolutely looking to bounce back and stay above 500 because that looks 3-1 just looks a lot better than 2-2 does. And yeah, Blitz. At the time that we played, Blitz actually hadn't played his Week 3 game yet, so he was only 1-1 at this point. Like you'll see on the thumbnail what his actual record is at the start of this battle. But either way, we definitely want to put him either at or stay below 500. I guess is the best way to put that. But yeah. I think this is a pretty important game. Like I said, 3-1 looks a lot better than 2-2. So with that in mind, going over my team, if you want to know more about my team specifically and what I brought, I did upload a team builder and I will link it in the description below. But for just a quick overview, we have a specially defensive Assault Vest Celebi, we have a physically defensive leftover Skarmory, a Firium Z Tornadus with Heat Wave, and then it also has Taunt, Icy Wind, Hurricane, a Choice Scarf Diggersby, a 4 attacks Megaane, and a physically defensive Alomamala. Looking at what Blitz brought to the table, he brought the Piloswine, the Mega Gardevoir, the Donphan, the Salamence, the Manaphy, and the Scolipede. I was a little surprised to see no Emboar. Like, Alomamala is like pretty much only here for the Emboar. That was the only reason I brought it, because it was pretty threatening to, like, Scarf Emboar was pretty threatening to my team, barring like Scarf Diggersby offensively checking it. But I had like almost no defensive checks to that thing, barring the Alomamala, which is why it's here. But other than that, not too many surprises. A little surprised not to see Ferrothorn, just because that kind of, like, if my Skarmory doesn't have Taunt, then Ferrothorn kind of beats it 1v1 with Leech Seeds and stuff like that. But regardless, again, not too many surprises. He did bring his double Ground Core again, so I don't know if he's just like always afraid of the fast electric types. Like, I guess, like, granted, I do think Jolteon had a little bit of merit in this match, but that's beside the point. There's still not too many surprises here, barring the no Emboar. But either way, looking at team matchups, in my opinion, he is either going to lead with the Piloswine or the Donphan to set up rocks, or with the Scolipede to start spike stacking. And either way, Skarmory is a really good check to all three of those, so I am going to lead with it, as we do see Blitz does lead with his Piloswine, and we are basically just going to trade rocks here. I can't defog on his rocks because I am faster. That's pretty obvious. Now here, I thought about defogging here, but I could not just let anything get a free switch in, particularly the Manaphy, because if that thing sets up, it becomes a really huge threat. So I need to Brave Bird it to get some damage on it and get a good amount of insight onto its set. But he does go into his Donphan as I go for the Brave Bird, as that does an okay chunk, and he reveals the Rocky Helmet, and that damage shows that he is actually max physically defensive. So this was definitely his response to my Megaane, which, like I said, was like the one saving grace, in my opinion, from stopping Gallade from just going, like, tearing his team a new one. But yeah, anyways, he does go for the he does switch into the Donphan here, which doesn't take a whole lot, so I do anticipate a Rapid Spin here, so I am going to actually defog the hazards on my side away. So that way, basically, his Rapid Spin does nothing, and I get a free 4% of health back, basically, because this Rapid Spin, since he's not even, like, attack invested, this Rapid Spin is going to literally do nothing, and I just get some leftovers back, which is good. I go and set up my own rocks, and remember that play with the Brave Bird when I said don't let Manaphy get a free switch in? Well, I basically let Manaphy get a free switch in. So now this is, like, pretty much the freest tail glow of Blitz's life because of my slight misplay. So I go into my Alomamala because, like, the Emboar is not here, it's not doing it, like, the reason Alomamala is here is not here, so Alomamala is easily the least expendable member of my team. So at +3, Energy Ball does OHKO my Alomamala, since I did not pack Rindo Berry. I did think about it, but switched it to leftovers. But either way, I do go for the Protector to scout for the Energy Ball, and basically to see what his coverage is, because I am still not entirely sure what 3 moves he wants. He probably wants Water Stab. He either wants Signal Beam or Ice Beam. I don't think he wants both. And then he has another coverage move. Like, I really don't know if he would have both Signal Beam and Ice Beam. I think it would only be one or the other, so I don't know what his last coverage move is. It could be Energy Ball. So basically, I'm just going to go Protect here to scout what his last move is. And he goes for Tail Glow again. And yeah, it's the balance breakers that I just have trouble playing around, which is kind of why I drafted one myself, but that's beside the point. So yeah, basically, I basically have to let something, like something here is something or multiple things is dying here. Like I thought, honestly, this could have just been game here, but I basically fire off a toxic. Luckily, he goes for surf, and I land my toxic. So this means that he more than likely does not have energy ball. Otherwise, why not go for it there? So luckily, we do get the toxic on this thing, and it is not completely over yet. I do fire off the protect just to get a little bit more toxic damage on this Manaphy as he does continue to go for surfs. So yeah, I have to let this thing go down as he reveals leftovers. So now I'm starting to fear that this might actually be a max HP Manaphy, which is really unfortunate because from the surf damage that it did to my Alamamla before, he's actually not special attack invested. So this is most likely max speed, max HP, like I thought it might be. But yeah, so I just let this thing go down, and he does show the signal beam, so I cannot freely switch in Celebi onto this totally as this toxic damage goes down. But now we have another problem. If he is max HP, like I do have two things that outspeed it and 2-hit KO it, but nothing does up to 76%. Unfortunately, my Diggersby and my Gallade cannot kill this thing from where it's at with either close combat or return. So basically, I have to like use one of them. I had to use one of them right now to get the damage off, and then basically sack it to whatever attack Blitz decides to go for. So, looking at his team, Gallade's coverage is still insanely good for this matchup. So I decided like Gallade is way more important in this match. Like just because it naturally outspeeds and can freely switch up moves, like Gallade is way more important in this match than I think Diggersby is. So I go into Diggersby and click the return button just in case he does switch into Salamence for whatever reason. He does not, and he is guaranteed. He does confirm that he is max HP here and takes me out with the Surf. Unfortunately, this Manaphy will live on only 3%, but this is an easy revenge for my Mega Gallade, and I can fire off a Zen Headbutt as I don't really want to get the drops from close combat just yet in case I decide to stay in. As we do see his Donphan switches in, and yeah, so that proves once and for all that his Donphan is the dedicated switch into my Mega Gallade. Now, seeing here that he's probably going to go for the Rapid Spin, I do switch into my Skarmory here, as once again, the Rapid Spin is going to do, like, basically nothing. And I did expect this Rapid Spin mostly because, it's a way to save his Manaphy, basically. So seeing that and his Donphan can't really do anything else to me, I'm a little surprised he doesn't have knockoff, but that's, again, beside the point. I have to go for Brave Bird here. It is a guaranteed 2-hit KO on this Donphan should he stay in, and it does not allow the Manaphy a free switch in. So I do just click the Brave Bird button, and as we see here, Blitz actually switches into his Mega Gardevoir, and I get a pretty decent chunk of damage onto it considering I'm not attack invested. But yeah, so Gardevoir is a huge threat. I'm switching right into my check to that, which is the Celebi, considering the Manaphy is almost dead. But yeah, he just fires off the Hyper Voice, and my Celebi chews that because of just how much Spadef investment and Assault Vest that we have. Like, yeah, so I make a little bit of a misplay. Anticipating him to Hyper Voice again, I do click the Giga Drain button, which is kind of a misplay because Giga Drain cannot break a sub, and I should have looked at that, but either way, that's my fault, and I'm really hoping that he doesn't click the Calm Mind button here. I go for the Shadow Ball, and luckily he does click Wish, which isn't that great. Which isn't that great, but we do have like Crisis sort of averted. Like there's not a sub here. I thought he might try to pass into something else, specifically the Manaphy, but I mean he probably should know that I'm Assault Vested, so I have to have 4 attacks. So maybe that's not the best idea. I believe I click Leaf Storm here in case he does decide to try to switch into his like Donphan or the Piloswine or something. I believe, yeah, as he goes for the substitute, so I go for the Leaf Storm button, and I miss, which is actually a blessing in disguise because he clicked the substitute button. So if he just attacked what was in front of him, like with Hyper Voice or whatever, then that was probably really bad. Just straight up, that would have been like a really bad situation. But because my attack did not drop, I actually am able to guarantee keep breaking his subs, which is a blessing in disguise. I thought at first it was bad, but then realized this is actually really good. He does just fire off a Wish. Again, I am just going for the Shadow Balls, as I believe here Blitz goes for the Calm Mind, so showing his last move. So he has Mono Hyper Voice, so he can't do a stupid amount to me, but it's still a good chunk. So now here, I get lucky here on his Calm Mind, as I do get the Spadef drop, which means I keep guarantee breaking this up. I can't let this Gardevoir keep Calm Minding up, otherwise it's going to become way too much of a threat that my Celebi just cannot handle. So seeing, I don't think he substitutes here because my Shadow Ball does guarantee break the sub, so I think he Calm Minds here again. So with that in mind, I'm going to attempt a U-turn into my Mega Gallade to offensively pressure this out. And as we see here, it does work. He does go for the Calm Mind. I just go for the U-turn, and I go right into my Mega Gallade, and I threaten this out with Poison Jab, which I'm just going to click here. I'm in front of a +2/+1 Mega Gardevoir. I'm not messing around. He does let the Mega Gardevoir go down. I don't know if he expected me to have Poison Jab, but either way, I was not risking that. And he goes into a Scolipede here, and I believe I just go into my Skarmory, or yes, I do go into my Skarmory as he goes into his, he makes a nice double into his Donphan. And then, again, I'm just going to Brave Bird here because I can't let him get a free switch into Manaphy. But he goes into the Salamence, and I actually get a really, really good chunk of damage onto this. So, seeing that his Intimidate didn't fire off, that definitely means he's Moxie. So he's definitely physical, and I'm kind of leaning on Scarf right now. But he could still be just like D-Dance mixed, just for the speed and attack. So, with that in mind, his physical attacks pretty much can't do anything to me. I just need to get this more in range for for either Tornadus to kill with Icy Wind, or for my Gallade to kill with Shadow Sneak. So I'm actually just going to go for the Brave Bird here. Even if he's no attack invested with Flamethrower, he can't kill me from here, as he does show the Flamethrower, and as we see here, that is not attack invested. So I do just get a good chunk of damage off, and with how I'm thinking, if this is indeed Scarf Salamence, he's probably locked into this. So I am going to switch into my Tornadus because with the amount Tornadus takes, I can just regenerate it off by switching out afterwards. So as we see here, I do switch out into my Tornadus, and he does seem to be Scarf locked into Flamethrowers. That does like nothing. I'm just going to fire off an Icy Wind. In hindsight, maybe I should have fired off a Hurricane because Pilot Storm is a pretty easy switch into here. But beside the point, I'm threatened out, so I'm just going to go into my Celebi. The Gardevoir's down, the Manaphy's at like really low health. It's basically done its job, and here's where I kind of make another misplay. I go for the Giga Drain to try to get a lot of health back, because I was actually anticipating him to try to Ice Shard here to try to pick off my Celebi, because it's like sort of kind of a nuisance, or basically just nets him another kill. In essence, it turns out that Blitz doesn't have Ice Shard, so he was actually threatened out here. Or at least, spoilers, if he did have Ice Shard, he didn't reveal it throughout the game. So, I click the Giga Drain button expecting him to try to pick me off with Ice Shard. It is a roll to kill. I believe it's like almost close to a coin toss. So, about the mind games, I don't know, but I click the Giga Drain button, and that basically grants him a free switch into the Scolipede, and yeah, that's really not good. My Skarmory is like really low on health. If he sets up here on my switch, like, he could just very well win the game, because it's just a snowball effect and he just deals so much damage. And yeah, like, I calc it, like, Rock Slide can't kill. Like, the thing is, like, Rock Slide can't kill if he's not boosting at him, and that's the thing. Like, if he's Life Orb, Rock Slide, like, almost all of his attacks just kill. I was honestly a little bit anticipating his Mega Horn on my Celebi, but I mean, if he's set up, then I mean, that's fine too. But yeah, basically, like, it's really not looking good here. I honestly did not know what to do. I thought Scolipede could just like win the Scolipede looks like it can win the game from here, and like I am just kicking myself in the head. Like, why didn't I U-turn on the Pilot Swine? Like, to be fair, I was 100% anticipating he had Ice Shard, and it turns out just that he didn't. So, I mean, that's kind of whatever. That's just team prep on Blitz's part. I cannot like criticize that, because obviously he's got his own thing for team building. But yeah, in case something funky happens, I'm just gonna click the Roost button just in case, and he goes for the Rock Slide, and I actually live. And I was like, what? How? And I bravered up, and I'm suddenly at a really good amount of health to deal with the Scolipede. So, what was it? I don't think. So, obviously, we saw here he wasn't Life Orb, so that was a thing. So, he doesn't kill me because he's not Life Orb, which means, in my opinion, that I think he is Z. If his Salamence is more, like, it looks like he's playing a Salamence Scarf, that probably means his Scolipede is Z. So, I check it, and it looks like none of his Z moves can actually kill me from here, which means that he might think I try to Roost here, but, like, it's kind of a mind game, like a 50-50, kind of, because he could just set up here on my predicted Roost, But if he's not Z, he can't kill me. I think maybe Z Aquatail could kill, but Z Aquatail isn't a guaranteed kill from here. So basically, I'm just gonna call the bluff. I say, fuck it. This thing is like I'm in front of a +2/+2 Scalpede. I cannot let this thing just like blow through me. So I have to click Brave Bird here. Like, in my opinion, I think that's the play. And we catch Blitz setting up, and we straight up kill this Scalpede with Brave Bird. And that is one huge threat going down. And that is huge for me. So, and then after that, Blitz sends in his Salamence. Now, this is also a really big turn. So, like I said, I highly anticipate him being Choice Scarf. None of his physical moves can kill me from here. The only thing that can kill my Skarmory from here is Flamethrower. So, with that said, if he goes into Flamethrower, or if he locks himself into Flamethrower, gets the Moxie boost, then I just go into Tornadus. He could switch out, but I could just click the Hurricane button, kill this, or kill something else that switches in. But basically, I'm fine with, at this point, I feel that Skarmory is the least important member of my team, because he has 2 ground types left with which my Celebi can deal with, and one of which is weak to fighting, which my Megaane can deal with, and Tornadus also outspeeds his entire non-Scarf team in case for whatever reason the Salamence isn't Scarf. So I deem that Skarmory is the least important member of my team. So I just fully decide to sack it off and play it out from there. As we see that Blitz actually locks into Outrage, and I just click Brave Bird, and this just kills the Salamence outright, and this is great. We're 4-3 ahead now. Now, I would like to point out, Blitz did say that he thought this play was a misplay. In hindsight, it could very well have been, but what he thought would have happened was if he had clicked Flamethrower there and killed my Skarmory, I go into Torn to revenge it. He switches out into most likely his Manaphy, sacks it off, and goes into his Salamence afterwards, and in his words he says he wins with Outrage. But what he didn't know was I have an insane amount of defensive bulk investment into my Tornadus, to the point where even +1 Outrage from full on my Tornadus does not knock me out guaranteed. So that means I had the opportunity to go for Icy Wind, lower its speed to where Torn can outspeed it after that, and go for basically a second Icy Wind. Or I guess he was at 23%, so I guess 1 Icy Wind would have knocked it out. But either way, Torn could have survived even a +1 Outrage because of my I had a lot of physical bulk investment. So while I didn't calc the +1, I knew Outrage could not kill me like neutral. So I don't agree with that statement that his Outrage would have won him the game. And either way, if that was in his mind his winning play, then he should have just gone for it, because then you just get punished by aggressive playing like this. Unfortunately I learned it last time. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents about it. But either way, so he is stuck. Blitz is left in a predicament, and I believe he goes into his Manaphy, which is toxic here. I switch it to my Celebi because it's kind of like the only thing, it's the thing that can take the hits best. Maybe I should have calced this and kind of pivoted between Torn and Celebi and stuff, because the Signal Beam does take me out here. But luckily the Manaphy will die to the toxic afterwards, even with leftovers. It's unfortunate. I kind of forgot about leftovers, but either way, this is pretty much this is where I choke the game away. Sorry fans, but yeah, I made a very rash and uncalculated play right here, because once I saw the Manaphy go down and he had the Pilot Swine and the Donphan left, I literally the only thing that thought to my mind was oh my god, my Megaane absolutely wins from here. And I kept thinking, for whatever reason, I should have written a little more down, because I use pen and paper, but I should have written down that this Donphan was max HP, max defense, because I thought for whatever reason that it would be max HP, max attack. Even though the attacks that I threw at it completely deviated towards physically defensive. But yeah, I think I just shut off calc mode and think, hey, Megaane can win from here. Turns out close combat does not guarantee knock this thing out, and yeah, he can knock me out with Play Rough. And now we're in a real predicament, as literally all I have left is Torn and Skarm. My Skarm is extremely weak, so I just go into Torn because it's the best thing to take on Donphan. I just go for the Heat Wave because it is the move with, barring Icy Wind, it's the move with the highest accuracy, but I mean, Icy Wind doesn't really do anything. in this case. And now I was really like on the fence here on how I could break this, because I thought based on the based on the Icicle Crash damage that Piloswine did to Celebi, that he was max attack adamant. I must have just calced wrong, because it turns out when I go for this Hurricane that it looks to be max Spadef, and he actually misses an Icicle Crash, which is really sucky, because Piloswine actually kind of looks like it can, if it lands all of its moves, it can just bring him back into the game. And yeah, it's not looking good for it's kind of not looking good for either of us. It doesn't really show it honestly a good performance, but I'm just gonna keep firing off Hurricanes. Hope for a confusion, kind of, but yeah, his Icicle Crash does connect here, and yeah, I pop off my Z move because, like, why not? It's like the only time I'm gonna show it. I think it might be the first Z move I've used this season. But yeah, and then he just misses another Icicle Crash, so I thought he would go for the Ice Shard here, but it turns out he doesn't have it, and I somehow land a third Hurricane. Like, that's yeah, that's kind of shitty. Somehow I land 3 Hurricanes in a row. Well, 2 and then break, and then another Hurricane. So I land 3 Hurricanes, and he misses 2 Icicle Crashes, which that should not happen. I definitely should have missed one, but regardless, that's like hacks beside. Like, I mean, it was just kind of whatever. Either way, I guess good game to Blitz. I think it kind of should have been his, just because I choked the end game. I had a very clear path to winning. Like, I could have just gone into Torn and just start. I could have just gone into Torn and just start basically just firing off Hurricanes, because if he goes into Donphan and I fire off a Hurricane, then a Hurricane guarantee kills the Donphan. Jeez. And then it's just Piloswine against the world, or he switches out into Piloswine, but Piloswine has no reliable recovery, and then it comes down to like Roost mind games with my Skarmory versus Piloswine, and then like basically if I needed like his Donphan was at 40 and my Gallade's close combat did 36 min, so literally I only needed 4% chip on that Donphan in order for my Gallade to clean up the game, which is really unfortunate. But either way, like, I guess good game to Blitz. I definitely choked the game away. That was not a clean win, but I mean, we kind of have to take wins wherever we can get them. But yeah, so luckily we are 3-1 going into the fifth week, which is much better than 2-2 looks. So I am really happy with this record, even if this specific win was not clean. In all honesty, besides my first game, my last few games haven't been all that clean, to be completely honest. But either way, next week we are going up against Clyde, coach of the Inglewood Infernape, and let me tell you, like, Clyde has been saying that, like, I'm gonna blow him out of the water because Clyde's not a good player, but I've seen some of Clyde's sets and they're ridiculous. Like I can't, like, they're ridiculous to the point where you neither can predict nor prep for them in team prep. Like, it's ridiculous. So he'll probably give me a good run for my money just on that reason alone. So yeah, that's it for this game. I guess leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and yeah, keep your eye out on the channel next week for the team builder for against Clyde for week 5 of UPA. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.